Okay, for number 2, there we have a mixture problem. So let's draw our grid. So for mixture problems, we have the amount of something, right, times the percent, either acid or dye, equals the total amount of that acid or dye, right, total, right? So this is the original amount, and then we add something to it. In this case, they're asking us how much dye must get added, right? And then we have the mix, right? So this is pretty standard for all our mixture problems. So now let's fill in the information that we have. The chemist has 800 grams of dye, so original, right, of a dye solution. It's 20% dye, so that's 0.2. How much dye must be added, so that's the variable d. I'm going to use uppercase only because it looks less like a number, right? Okay. Must be added to increase the strength of the mixture to 0.5. So the mixture has to be 0.5. So we don't know how much mixture there is. And in dye, when we add pure dye to an original, the percent dye in pure dye is 100%, right? When we add dye, we add pure dye. So now let's multiply across the rows, right? Amount times percent equals total. So this is 0.2 times 800. This is d times 1, right? 1 times d. And the bottom one is 0.5 times m, right? Okay. So remember, in mixture problems, our equations come down the left and down the right, right? So the first equation is 800 plus some amount of dye has to equal the total mixture when you add them together, right? The right-hand column becomes 0.2 times 800 plus 1d, which is d, right, equals 0.5 m. So there's the two equations. So if I simplify the last equation, I have 800 plus d equals m. The last one, 0.2 times 800 is 160 plus d equals 0.5 m. Okay. So we could now multiply this bottom equation by -1, right? And the reason is I want a negative d down there. I could subtract, but we make less mistakes if we multiply. So let's just do that. So we have 800 plus d equals m. And the last equation, both sides by -1. I have -160 minus d equals -0.5 m. Now I'm going to add the two equations, elimination, right? 800 and -160 is 640. D and negative d cancels. Equals 0.5 m. So we multiply both sides by 2 and we get 1280 equals m. So let's start right up here, right? So we get m is 1280. Okay, that's the total amount. Now we have to substitute into one of the equations. So I'm going to use this equation. It looks pretty nice, right? And I'm going to come up here. We have 800 plus d equals m, which is 1280. I'll subtract 800, so we get d equals 480. And this question said how much dye must be added, so we would say 480, what was it, grams of dye. And let's see if this makes sense, right? Our original had was 20% dye. And now we're saying if we add 480 grams, so we add almost half as much as we started with. We had 800, so now we add, more than half of pure dye, and it raises the percentage up to 0.5. That makes sense, right? Okay, so we get 480 grams of dye must be added.